What's going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. And if you're dealing with some other type of sickness right now, I hope you have a full recovery from that as well. It is time for the Wednesday edition of the Pandemic Update for Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is where we do the daily pandemic update and update on the ongoing COVID pandemic, which has not ended. If you're someone that thinks, oh, COVID, well, that's over with, stick with me here. I will prove to you that the pandemic's not over and that COVID is still a risk to you. If at that time, at the end of the video, you're still not convinced, by all means, watch any of my other videos, and I'm sure you will soon become convinced, and then give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below so I can help keep you safe. Starting off today with, we do have this to report on, and this has to do with COVID and the heart. And it says, now we know how COVID attacks your heart. Even patients with mild COVID symptoms could face a higher risk of developing heart disease and stroke. We're just reading a headline here. I think this headline says a lot. Even patients with mild COVID symptoms. Remember, you don't need to be hospitalized. You don't need to become moderate or severe. Just a regular, mild case of COVID. I hate that word mild, so we'll say less severe case can still lead to heart problems and stroke. And this I did retweet, so you can see that on Twitter. And now taking a look at this, something that I promised I would show you from earlier video from today. I had to go get a CAT scan today, and during that CAT scan, while I was in the waiting area, I thought I would bring in my AirNet 4, which, measures the air quality. And to my surprise, the air quality was a little worse than I had expected. I thought maybe it would be around 800 or 900. No. We registered an air quality of 1,205 people. There was hardly a single person masked at this place. I put only person mask there, but believe it or not, after I put that in, someone else came in masked, cloth mask, of course. And then when I was leaving, there was an elderly couple that came, an older couple, maybe in their 70s, early 80s. They were both masked, but again, improper mask. It was some sort of a black surgical mask, which it was not N95. And of course, I will share this with you. Yes, I was in an N95 mask. All right. Moving on now to this. Air travelers can volunteer for a nasal swab to enhance infectious disease surveillance. That's right. The CDC wants to expand its traveler-based genomic surveillance program to track RSV, influenza, and more than 30 other respiratory viruses. Remember, there's a lot of respiratory viruses out there. We take a look at a wastewater scan, and recently they did an update which includes more viruses, some which I'm not even actually familiar with, a lot of random ones, but then the basic common ones that we all hear about, especially COVID. So this is good. You can, if you're going to be traveling, you can do a random COVID test. I'm not certain if it's going to be at all airports, but it's good because we really need to ramp up COVID surveillance, not only just to find cases, we also need to do more sequencing of cases to find variants, and I hope they're going to be doing that as well. So once again, as the holiday travel ramps up, CDC is going to be doing voluntary random testing at airports, which this is really a good thing. Speaking of variants, I thought this was very interesting. Speaking of the CDC, too, I found this morning. Jay Welland, I've shared his tweets many of times here on these videos, and I think this is worth sharing. And we'll actually take a look at the CDC data in just a little bit. He put, it's pretty cute that the CDC variant dashboard calls BA.2.86 Priola. And take a look at this. Here you go. Remember that JN.1 BA.2.86 I've been talking about? Well, apparently that is why we're seeing BA.2 show up again at 0.5%. So that is something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Will they eventually change this to what it really is? I hope they do, but this is like going back in time, back into, I believe, what was it? January of 2022 that we were dealing with the BA.2 wave? Well, it's showing up again, but it's not really BA.2. It's BA.2.86 dash, that line is JN.1. So that is relatively interesting. And now we're going to move on to this. Let's take a look at today's air quality values, see what's going on across the country, and hopefully we will find ourselves in some improvement. There's some slight improvement in the Northeast. Still, North Carolina is still dealing with air quality values that are not so great because there are ongoing wildfires. Chicago, not great there either. I'm honestly not sure why Chicago's coming up with such poor air qualities. West Coast, again, more wildfires that's causing the air quality problems out there. Now let's take a look at heat-related illnesses. You can see there's still some going on in the Northeast, in the Southeast, and in the Carolinas as well. Less to be found in the West Coast than we have seen in quite some time, and that is good news. However, there's still some counties out there. So for as long as there are still this many counties, we will continue to show this product to you. So again, heat-related illnesses in some areas are still higher than average and higher than the national average. Let's take a look at Walgreens for this week. We'll do just a couple states today, maybe some that we didn't do before. National positivity trend is 26.2%. The prior week was 27.6%. Difference of down 1.4%. 7,466 tests versus 6,838. And we know those numbers are very flawed. Just last week it was over 10,000. Why it's not showing that, I honestly have no clue. Let's take a look at a few states. Let's take a look at Virginia. What's going on there? Virginia, 19.3% this week, 27.4% last week. Difference of down 8%. Total test, 181 versus 168. Higher testing, positivity down. It's a legitimate drop. Mississippi, we haven't looked at Mississippi in a while. Mississippi, 4.3% this week, 25.9% last week. This is a huge drop. 21.6% lower than the previous week. 23 tests versus 27. This is a legitimate drop. How about Arkansas? We're seeing some red here. What's going on in Arkansas? 15.4% this week, 11.4% last week. Difference of up 4%. Total test, 39 versus 44, so that's not good to see. What's going on in Nebraska? 24.4% this week, 44.4% last week. Difference of down 20%, and 45 tests versus 45. I'm going with this is a legitimate drop. How about New Mexico? What's going on there? 37% this week. The prior week was 34.4%. 2.6% up, and a significant increase in testing. 135 versus 90. This is a legitimate rise. How about Hawaii? Can we do Hawaii? No, Hawaii is coming up white at this time. We will do one more state. How about South Carolina? South Carolina this week is 18.7%. The prior week was 24.3%. Difference of down 5.6%. Total testing, 139 versus 144. I'm going with this as a legitimate drop. I mean, that's not that much of a decrease in testing, and that's a pretty decent drop, so I think it's a legitimate drop. All right, moving on now. Let's take a look now at some wastewater data, and we do want to take a look at the wastewater scan website. Some good news for folks who live in Connecticut. Yes, Stamford, Connecticut is now on the wastewater scan website. It's fantastic because when we do the wastewater updates on Sundays, we have not been able to show you much data from Connecticut as of lately. But here we go. Stamford, Connecticut is on. Now, mind you, this has only been on, looks like it's only been on since October 27th. Data for the last 3 months saying 92 days, but I'm not seeing that on the charts. Population serviced, 140,000. COVID is dropping at this time. Influenza rising, RSV rising, HMPV is rising, Mpox not an issue, not detected, norovirus is dropping at this time, and no hepatitis A to report at this time. Continuing on, we are going to do a few more of these wastewater sites, and I think we should come down here. Let's come down to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and see what's going on there. In Chattanooga, Tennessee, we see COVID. It's medium at this time, slightly dropping. Influenza, wow, rapidly starting to rise. RSV is rising. No HMPV, no Mpox, but norovirus is high. It was rapidly rising. It has slowed ever so slightly, but yeah, not good to see. Then we come down here to hepatitis A. Hepatitis A is being detected at this time, so that's not good to see either. And let's go out west. How about we take a look at a site today somewhere in Texas? Let's go up here to Wichita Falls, Texas. And there's a reason why we're taking a look at Texas today. It is Texas Update Day. We'll have that just a little bit later here in the update. COVID, flat at this time. Influenza, slightly starting to rise. RSV is low at this time. HMPV is low, and look at this. They did have the detection of an Mpox case back on October 27th of 2023. Norovirus, the overall projection, unfortunately, is up. And taking a look at the hepatitis, no hepatitis at this time. And let's do one more site on the West Coast real quickly. How about we come out to Las Vegas? We haven't looked at Las Vegas in a little bit of time, so let's see what's going on there. COVID, not really going anywhere. Influenza, however, is rapidly rising. Still low, but it's rapidly rising. RSV is rising somewhat. Mpox, not an issue. Norovirus is not much of an issue, but it is, actually, no. It's coming up as high. I wanted to say for a long time it was low, but take a look at the end here. Yeah, the rapid rise. It looks like it's starting to drop, so high. That's not good. After a long period where it was fairly level. Not good to see that. Hepatitis A at this time. Not really much of an issue. There was some detection back in September, but that has since cleared. Alrighty, moving on now. Here's that CDC variant data that we want to take a look at. HV.1 leads with 25.2, EG.5 is at 21.9%, FL151 is at 12%, and as noted before, BA.2, it's there. That's what would be BA.2.86, and the JN.1 lineage, it's at 0.5%. We will get an update on that on Friday, so it'll be very interesting to see what that comes in at. Hospital admissions, 15,745 nationally. Now coming down to my state, my city, Philadelphia. 758 EMS incidents were reported yesterday. That is below 800, so that is good to see. A current live looking at what's going on in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. You can see not terribly busy right now, just 8 calls. But then we jump over to Chester County. And I've been looking at Chester County for the last hour and a half, and it's been fairly busy. It did come down. It was up to 14 calls earlier, but I'm still seeing seizures, heart problems, strokes. There were multiple strokes, or there were multiple sick people earlier. So not good to see, but slightly less busier than about, say, an hour ago. Let's cross the Pennsylvania Turnpike into New Jersey and take a ride on the New Jersey Turnpike to see what New Jersey's doing. And our first stop is the state of New Jersey. Hospitalizations, 414. So this is up ever so slightly. 17 people on a ventilator, 69 out of 70 hospitals reporting, 42 people in the ICU, discharges, 63 at this time. Let's continue up the New Jersey Turnpike and cross the George Washington Bridge, or maybe the Lincoln or Holland Tunnel, and see what's going on in New York State. Tested positive in the last 24 hours, 994 cases. But here comes some good news. Actually, some really good news. The hospitalizations continue to drop in New York State. So we do want to zoom this in. I mean, the drop, it's continuing. It's actually a fairly sustained drop. Now you can see, we ended last week with 1,148 people in the hospital. It went up slightly yesterday, but look what happened after that. 1,114. Yes, it's continuing to drop, and it's been doing that since about October 2nd. So we'll see how long this continues. This is some really good news to see that the drop is continuing in the state of New York. All right, now we want to take a look at Texas, and I'm going to refresh this because there's going to be some new numbers. Hopefully, usually on Wednesdays we get some new numbers, and let's see, did they come in yet? Looks like it did not, or it is the same data as the previous week, unfortunately. So I hoped to have Texas data today, but either they're really delayed, or I hope they're not going to stop reporting. Let's pray and hope Texas does not stop reporting. The most recent update, which was last week, we knew that cases were going up. So in lieu of us not having a Texas update, let's go back to wastewater scan for just a second, and I will give you one more bonus wastewater site in Texas, and let's see what's going on. I say we come down here. Let's come down here to the Houston area, and let's see what's going on. How about let's go over to the Woodlands, Texas, and see what's going on real quickly. COVID slightly starting to rise at this time. Influenza is dropping. RSV is rising rapidly. That's not good to see. HMPV is not an issue. Mpox is still low. Norovirus, wow, rapidly rising at the end there. And hepatitis A is not an issue. Hopefully tomorrow we will have the update out of Texas. I really thought that would have been in by now because usually as of lately about 1 o'clock Texas has been updating, but my apologies. Texas is not in yet. So keep posted. If it does come in before the evening's done, I will post the update for Texas on Twitter. I'll post a screenshot. And now let's do a little bit of international data because I have no other states that had updated for today. Tomorrow, normally on Thursdays, we get a whole bunch of things, including Chicago. Taking a look at some international data real quickly. Brazil cases are up 0.4%. Deaths are down 36%. Russia cases up 32%. Deaths are up 3%. Germany cases up 5%. Deaths are up 20%. That's not good to see. And then coming down here to Switzerland, cases are up 18%. No change in deaths because no deaths have been reported. Taking a look at Australia, it's saying cases down 83%. I recently showed you data on multiple pandemic updates that suggest otherwise, that Australia is rising. So we are going to ignore that. And let's end today. How about we end today on Cuba? We haven't talked about Cuba in a while. 20% decrease in cases and no deaths reported at this time, and they're not doing very many cases anyhow. 4 versus 5, which makes a 20% increase. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's pandemic update. Have you been convinced that COVID is not over? You saw a few wastewater sites where things are rising, like for instance that last one we took a look at in Texas. If you're convinced that COVID's not over, by all means, give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more content like this because maybe you want to stay safe or maybe you want to help keep your family safe. Subscribe to my channel down below. If you know anyone that needs to see this content, by all means, share this with them. I will see you all again tomorrow. Until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone, and have a fantastic Wednesday evening. Thanks for watching.